I did actually come across that video online and used it as a backdrop to a talk I gave when I was assistant pastor at Iowa, and it was it touched my heart. Oh, thank you. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So, that just brought to mind that one of the things that I have a vision for, and whatever work that I seem to embrace, is that youth seems to be my focus. And even coming to the church here, you've already got a youth program, but my vision is that this should continue to expand and grow. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. The idea that there's a need that we can serve in the community is only part of that process, but basically just to allow the youth to have the opportunity to grow and recognize how special they are. Every time I get a chance to talk to an adult who's gone through the process of seeing their child go to camp and then come back from camp, and they say that their child has changed, it says, "What do you do to them?" And it says, we didn't do a single thing to them that there wasn't already in there. And so that's why I have a vision that youth tends to be part of my vision of whatever work that I do. So since you brought me on, guess what? It's part of your vision now too.
Yes.
But to get started with a talk today I've got a question for you. And it's not a politically correct question. In fact, it might not even be nice in mixed company. But I'm going to test it anyway. I'm going to ask the question, how old are you? Now, it's interesting when you ask that question, is that I'm not expecting a response, by the way. Okay, it's just so we're clear on this. It really depends on who you ask. Because if you go to see a doctor, they're going to know, okay, how many years have you been on this planet? They're going to want to know that answer. If you happen to show up at a Native American shaman, he might find that the answer is related to some naturally recurring event, showing up in the way that the moon cycle works, or however they tend to measure time. If you ask the musical group Chicago, they say, does anyone know what time it is? Does anyone care? Oh, good, I can use Chicago as a reference in the future. Just want to make sure I know my audience here. It's funny, you talk to a life insurance agent, it depends on how close you are to a birthday as to what age you are. I never really figured that part out, but anyway. Time is one of those concepts that it's a mental construct. Deepak Chopra, I've heard him say that, in fact he says it in Aegis Body, Timeless Mind. He says that time is a notion. It's a mental construct. It's something that we believe to be true, but when you actually try to apply it to the different aspects of our lives, it applies to some, but not so much to the others. When we start talking about just how many years have we been on this planet, then yeah, time might have a relevance. It allows us to kind of figure out what's going to happen. It allows us to be at the right time that we're expected to be for an appointment somewhere or something like that. So time does have value, but the thing is that when we go beyond just the physical manifestation, time really has very little to do with what happens. Dr. Holmes tells us, in truth, there is no beginning or end. There was never a commencement of life in the eternal, and there will never be an ending. An age is a human's measure of a period of existence. So it's basically something that we use in our humanness so that we can actually relate to each other and actually get something done on the physical plane. When we start talking about, gee, how old are we? I want to let you know that you're not that old. And I was going back to my medical training, and I started thinking about, gee, how old are the cells in your body? There isn't a single one in your body that's more than 10 years old. All the cells in the body replace themselves in that short period of time. Some of them within a week. Some of them within the year. If you even break it down even further and you go to the atoms in your body, there isn't a single atom in your body right here, sitting with you right now, that was with you last year at this time. That's how fast our body changes things out. So you're not that old. Frankly, there is continual newness showing up in your life. And the thing is that we forget that. And what we're looking to do today is just talk about how does that relate to who I am. Now, when I talk with younger people, it never really seems to cross their mind that they're old. And rightfully so, because frankly, they are so engaged in the newness that I have trouble keeping up with them sometimes. Why do I bring that idea up, though? Because I want to really, really, really stress that it's important that you understand that you are not your body. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good, because that really is the thing that allows us to create a new experience. Because yes, our body is with us, and yes, it has to deal with the chronology. But the thing is that we are embraced in an idea that God is timeless. And so are we.
Yes.
Age is it's a mindset. And things sometimes don't always show up the way that we want to. So what we might want to talk about, and we've talked about the physical part of the body, let's talk about the spiritual part of the body. Because really that really is where the timelessness is. So what we're looking for is, if you're looking at, am I a timeless being, then yes, how spiritually mature are you? Because then you will, to that degree, you will understand that you are a timeless expression of God. And what I mean by spiritually mature is, how grounded are you in spirit? How much does it become part of your existence? How much faith do you have in what is in front of you? Because God will continue to demonstrate to the level that you understand what's going on. If things aren't working, there's just something that you just haven't figured out yet. Because it's been my experience that even though challenges show up in my life, and every now and then they show up in really interesting ways, like getting a call from a church that I haven't talked to in about several months. They want a pastor. The key is that there's an idea that it was already in place. It was already moving forward. It was already there. In the timelessness of God,
right.
God already knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
The answer was already there. The answer was seeking me out.
Yes.
I just had to get to the point I was ready to hear it. And that's the trouble. Is, do we really want to hear that? Hear the answers? Do we really want to hear what God has in store for us? Dr. Holmes also tells us life can't grow old. God's in us. He lives through us and as us. And it can only express perfection, and therefore that perfection is timeless. That perfection is now. That perfection is exactly what needs to be in your life right at this moment. If it isn't, for some reason, if your perception is that there is something that's missing, then we need to take a look at, one, your expectations, and two, how open are you to spirit? Because it's been my experience that even though challenges have shown up in my life, spirit tends to show up in the exact right time, in the exact right space. And it's funny is that you talk about divine timing. I'm not judgmental of God anymore. To be honest with you, I'm saying, why God did you not do this or this time? I said, there's an answer for it. I've gotten to the point that I have the faith that basically that The Spirit is going to answer the question. It's going to answer it completely. It's going to answer it perfectly. And it's going to do it in the right exact time. Because if this had showed up 6 months earlier, as far as me trying to take on the pastorship, I don't know that I was ready for it. But when Mark sent me an email, I was 4 weeks out of completing a significant chapter in my expression and working with the teen program. And I was saying, okay, God, I'm ready. And I figured, okay, God's going to take a little while. It's going to take some time. Yeah, 6-8 months. Yeah, maybe a year. We'll see what happens. I get a chance to just relax a little bit. No, God had a different idea.
Yes.
And the idea was is that you have the talent, you have the skills, you have the willingness, so it's time for you to step up. And have you ever had an answer like that the Spirit has talked to you, and then all of a sudden this little voice in your head goes, no, you don't want to do that. No, you sure you want to do that? Basically, it's the naysayer voices. You ever get those things? You know, they show up every time. You know, and I was no different. And frankly, as much down the road as I think I am spiritually, I still get this stuff. So don't think that you're going to get rid of it. Well, if you do, let me know. I want to talk to you and figure out how you do it. But the thing is that the key is that it shows up. But the thing is, do you listen to them? Do you show them the opportunity for you to be better than what they're sharing with you? That you recognize that you are a divine expression of God, that the answer that God is sharing with you is the right and perfect path? Or are you willing to let the ideas put in your head from this naysayer to sit and grow and step into your way? This is what I mean by being spiritually mature. It's basically taking the opportunity to know that Spirit is there, Spirit is waiting for you to say yes. Mm-hmm. And then when Spirit actually steps up, you got to say yes too. Because if you don't, you still have control of your life. You still have choice. You have what they call volition. The question is, what do you choose? Love the song. It was great. You know, as we become older physically, we start recognizing that, well, some of us do, that we find that things don't flow quite as easily as we thought they did when we were younger. The thing is that we don't have quite the spring in our step. We don't have the tolerance for loud music and things like that. I still love loud music, I'm sorry, but I recognize that some people have challenges with that. But it's the thing is that I was reminded by Dr. Ken Gordon that one of my teachers that we share was Dr. Tom Costa. And Dr. Tom, bless his heart, I loved him to death. He had a saying for everything. Basically he says, in cancer is the answer, things like that. So he had a lot, but he said basically when he was talking about age, he says, don't let age be your cage. I thought, well, how perfect is that? Because basically that's exactly what we do. We let basically our age define, this is what's possible for me now. I mean, I didn't expect to start a new career past the age of 60. Who knew that I was going to be a great-grandfather before I became a senior pastor? But that's how it worked out. But the key is that I just said yes. And by doing that, that actually just created an expansion. There was a creativity, and all of a sudden, unleashed in my mind was a whole bunch of different things, a whole bunch of different ideas. Some of them I've shared with you, some of them I'm still working on because they haven't quite fully formed to my satisfaction yet. But as to how to allow this thing to be a better expression of the divine. Then we'll see if my expression and your expression turn out to be the same idea. We'll talk about that as we go along. But the key is that we are part of the divine process unfolding, and allowing that to happen creates joy. And if you're not experiencing joy, if you're not happy about something, usually there's something that you don't know. There's just something that's not quite been shared with you, or you just haven't quite listened yet. And that's one of the things about getting older, is we tend to stop listening to other people. Okay? What I want you to remember is that everyone has a great idea. Not all their ideas are great, of course, but the thing is, everyone has a great idea. And what we need to do is we need to stay open. We need to stay into the flow of spirit. Because when that answer happens, if we're in the no mode, then frankly, all of a sudden we have shut down the flow. We haven't allowed it to be part of who we are. When we say yes to God, we're living in our divine bliss. The gifts that are necessary to show up in your life are there. The joy that needs to be in your life is there. If you're not experiencing it, then find out what is it that you don't know about this. What is it that you don't have a handle on? What is it that you don't have clarity on? Because the answer is there. As I say, the answer was given long before the question was ever asked. Sometime I'm going to have to sit down and share with you all the funny little things that I think about in me becoming pastor here. Because long before even I got an email from Mark, I had to recertify this year for being a minister. There was absolutely no reason for me to do that. I said, I'm going to retire. Man, what are we going to do that? So basically, but I said, I'll go ahead and I'll send in my registration so that I'll stay active on the rolls. Spirit knew long before I did that this was coming down the road. Long before I did. The thing is that when it finally did show up, guess what? I was ready, and I didn't have to do a whole heck of a lot except to say yes. And all of a sudden, poof, there's this magical kingdom called the Redland Center for Spiritual Living. And it's delightful, and it's growing. And frankly, I'm looking forward to seeing all the things that can manifest out of this, because frankly, I am just excited. So, one of the things that we tend to skip over, and I'm only going to take just a second about this, I could go on for a whole talk on this, is that I've talked about things that maybe you're not quite as certain about. Does that fit for me? Is that really true? Well, what you have to look at is that faith is actually the key component here. Because if you don't have faith that this is the answer in moving forward through your life, then the question is that you have to get the faith before anything else is going to happen. Faith is an expression of the divine mind. Like I said, I'm going to just set that on the shelf for the time being. There's going to be a whole talk on faith here soon, because it is such a strong level of energy within me that it has to come out every now and then. So, but the thing is that when I basically said the faith is so important, is one of the things that my faith showed me is that when I basically was questioning, do I want it, when all these naysayer voices were showing up in my life, there was another voice in my head that I listened to, and it was basically my supporting cast. And there's also other voices, if you're really listening, that are going to say, yes, you are good enough. Yes, you can do this. Yes, this is the right path that you need to choose right now. And how they shared with it was funny, is that all of a sudden they took on a New York slang that just said, do it. Just do it. You have to do it. And the thing is that I kept hearing this over and over again. Frankly, I finally said, okay, if this is the direction that we need to go, then this has to be divinely ordained. And I haven't found anything that tells me anything different than that at this point. So, and I don't expect to, because frankly, it's been a delightful experience so far. So the question is, are you having fun?
Yes.
So answer me this other question. Now this one's not as politically incorrect as some of the other ones I just asked. But what creative project are you working on right now? What's stimulating your mind? What are you doing that's going to create an expanding idea of you? Where's your faith? Where's your purpose? Where's your enthusiasm? Because these are the secrets to allowing this thing called you to express your true divine nature. I'll finish with a quote from Dr. Holmes. This comes from the Living the Science of Mind. Life is an activity. And when we stop being active, we turn away from the newness of life. And the person who grows old in years without an inward expectation and assurance that he is going to live forever somewhere will find the last part of his life burdened with the thoughts of yesterday. Let us make up our minds that yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not yet arrived. But today can be filled with wonder if we know that we stand on the threshold of that which is wonderful and new.
Yes.
Namaste.